All right, everybody. Today we've got a very special guest joining us, one of the hardest hitting safeties of his era, a true leader on and off the field, and someone who knows the Titans inside and out, both as a player and now a voice in the Nashville media. We've got a four-time Pro Bowler, spent 10 seasons in the NFL with Oilers, Titans, and Eagles. He was a key piece of that 99 Titans team that reached the Super Bowl. He's known as the Hitman for his physical style of play and presence on the field. Played alongside some legends like Warren Moon, played with Brian Dawkins, played
Oh,
against Jerry Rice and Peyton Manning. And today he hosts Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, a daily show on 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, covering the Titans with his NFL expert insight. Everyone, welcome to the show, Mr. Blaine Bishop. How's it
man,
going, Blaine?
man, that's awesome, man. That was a great intro, man. That might have been the best one I ever been on, man.
Hey, I had to run it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I could add a few things, but I won't wait.
I couldn't cover all the bullet points, but
Nah, you good. That was pretty good, man. You're
but
smooth. This is not your first rodeo.
yeah, right. But yeah, man, we're happy to have you here. Obviously, thank you for your time, but we just wanted to kind of hop in and just chat a little bit about your time with the Titans. Obviously, you were an eighth round draft choice in the '93 NFL draft out of a small school in Ball State. I just wanted to ask, how that underdog journey kind of shaped your mentality coming into the NFL.
Oh man, I think it built a lot of warts and because I had felt along the way. But first of all, I'm gonna say this: Ball State is a big school, is like 20,000, but it wasn't a big football program. And then especially Indiana. It's in Muncie, Indiana. So we know nationally Indiana's known for more basketball than anything else growing in football nationally. Yeah, so it's a real good. But yeah, so I went to the David Letterman School of Communications. So I wanted to be a broadcaster and everything like that. But I will tell you my journey when I talked about my failures. I was a running back in high school. I went to Cathedral High School, it was a private Catholic high school, prominent football power. Scary Terry went there. There's a whole bunch of guys still in the league today. And even when I was playing, Mark Clayton, even back in the day with the Dolphins, we've had guys all over the league. So I wasn't highly recruited. I made all everything in high school, and so I ended up going to a Division II school my freshman year, and because they said I was a Division I player, I grew up naturally. We were the colors of Notre Dame, and we looked just like Notre Dame, so I wanted to go to Notre Dame, and so I ended up going to Division II school with two of my teammates, and 4 games in, naturally they put me a defensive back because that seems like that was always going to be the place I was going to eventually be. I never fought it. I just, there was always great running backs out there. I was just okay, well, that's cool. But in this game, I got to play running back and defensive back because the guys were injured. I ended up, scoring like 4 different ways: interception, kickoff return, running back. And just so happened this was week 4, so two NFL scouts were there, the Jets and the Giants. After the game, they talked to me and said, "Hey, you got a shot at the National Football League." And I really I thought like, what are y'all talking about? Like 4 months ago, I wasn't even a Division I prospect, and they said, "No, we were here to watch another player on the other team, and you definitely you got a shot." And I was like, "Whoa." So I really was taken aback, but I didn't think about it because I was so focused after that happened. I didn't even think about it, and I didn't even really tell anybody. But like my coach, I said, "Hey man, what are these guys over here talking about the Jets and Giants? They had on their golf shirts." He said, "Oh, they just scouting. They just looking at players." I said, "Oh, they said I got a shot." They said, "Oh, after that game, I'm sure they did." so so after the season, I didn't think about it anymore. I didn't talk about it or anything really. I just kind of really forgot about it. I made Division II All American, and when I made Division II All American, then I said, "Uh-oh, something's up." So I went back to my high school coach, who was also the president of the school, and he's the one that told me I wasn't a Division I prospect. So all I wanted to do was play Division I, and I was geeked. I want to play Division I. So I went back to him and said, "Can I play Division I football now?" He said, "Absolutely." And I really wanted to say, what changed in 4 months or 5 months, and nothing changed. I was still the same size. And, then he was like, "You showed that, you got the goods." So he said, "You can go to Indiana State. The football program's not very good." He knew I was single parent home. didn't have a lot of money, so I was gonna go and stay somewhere because at that time you had to walk on, even if you transferred up, it didn't matter. You had to sit out. And so he said you can go to Ball State, you can probably start right away. You can go to IU and you probably have to wait your turn. And, you never know what happens with that. I said, call Ball State. So I called Ball State. I chose Ball State and then called this guy, Dave Land, and he said you can walk on for a semester, then we'll see where you're at. So I walked on and took a risk, talked to my mom about it, and she said, I'll pay for a semester, we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure it'll go pretty good. My mom was pretty confident and in who I was and what kind of work, because she saw how serious I was about it. And so I played everywhere on scout team, whether it was the option quarterback, running back, receiver, defensive back. And so after the semester was up, defensive coordinator Rick Minner, whose son now is the DC at the Chargers, uh, he said that you can either be third string running back or you can compete to start at cornerback. And I looked at him and I said, And my heart and passion was always going to be running back, but I never fought it. I was just like, dang, again. So I looked at him and I think he thought I was going to just like, nah, I'm going to do running back. I looked at him and said, you said I'm going to be competing at cornerback? I said, with who? Because I knew who was on the team. I practiced the whole time. And, it's funny. I'm like 19 and I'm just sitting there. It's like, hey, man, who am I competing with? And reason why I said that is not only because I practiced and I saw who the guys that actually started. It was just another notch on my belt that I put on my shoulder because I had a chip on my shoulder, obviously. And that was because the two guys that started at corner both came out of high school the same year I came out. And I didn't know them, like, they weren't from Indiana, they were from Kentucky, both of them. They went to prominent schools there, Mayo, they Louisville and Lexington. So he said, "Don't worry about that. We'll figure that out. We'll be all right." Because what I was trying to say is to him, I'm starting. I don't know what some of the other two gonna have to figure it out over there because I'm on one of these sides. So that kind of happened because everybody knew, at practice, because I was just dominating our defense, and our defense was really good. Even when I played offense, and then when I played defense, I was dominating the starting receivers, and it was pretty clear. So uh, after that, I started, and then making all Mac and everything else. So it kind of was a journey, and then senior year was. Uh, Scouts at a lot of games. They never told me. I was to ask them, like, why didn't you tell me these guys were here to watch me? They were like, oh, it didn't matter. You would have played like we played always. So it didn't matter. So I ended up getting invited to the Blue Grade, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and thought I fared really well. My confidence kept growing too, that I was on the NFL level. That's the part I missed there. Throughout that whole time, my confidence is gaining because I would always ask the coaches, I want to cover the best receiver. We'd always play 2 or 3 games out of conference, whether it was Clemson or Indiana, Purdue, whoever it was. We would play Wisconsin in Wisconsin, and I was like, I want to play the guy. They said this guy's a mid third round pick. I want him man to man the whole game. you know, sure, okay. So that's kind of it. I was just very competitive and driven. I think it was a notch for me, and I was never gonna say never until it was over. It was just never gonna be, even if I got toasted, it was just all right. Dare you to throw that again, and so kind of worked out. Then I went and I was a little disappointed on my draft experience, so I thought I was, a mid round guy. I think I was ranked like 10th at corner, uh, probably disappointed at the combine on not my vertical, I was 42 and a half, but my 40 was like a 4.58 or something. And I just did the Cybex machine, and they don't even do that anymore. And so I didn't run as well. So that probably hurt me. But I start seeing guys go that I had never heard of. And I'm like, oh, this is trouble. So my agent called me and said, hey, we don't get drafted, because that was the first year, it was 8, even though I was the 214th pick, which they have way more picks than that now. But I was sitting there, so it was another time that I put another chip on my shoulder, and it just kept growing in it. So when I got to camp with the Oilers when they drafted me, I was actually at the library. I didn't have any draft party or anything. My 2 roommates were there. They left after about the 5th round. They were like, "Hey man, we go. We got." And then I left because I was like, "I got to stay for this test. Obviously, I need to make sure I pass this test because it don't look too good." So they called me while I was in the library and said they were gonna draft me. And so then I went on back and they said, look at the ticker. So yeah, they drafted me. So I was naturally excited there by myself actually at the time. And kind of went through the process from there, man. But I got there with a huge chip on my shoulder, especially being from Indiana. And when you're in the state of Texas, football is a whole different level. They didn't even know where Ball State was. They never even heard of the university, to be honest, I think. So uh that played to me because I don't know if I would have made it because of that, because they had some really good young players they had drafted a year or two before that. So yeah, that kind of the Hitman kind of then started to come about. Long
Man,
story short, right? That was what I was trying to do for you guys.
it sure did. We remember those Hitman days. Oh man. So you are part of one of those NFL games, one of those games with names they would call it, and that City Miracle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one. That was actually my first year watching football, so I remember
Oh
that.
really?
Yeah. So, did you after that game? How was the team feel? You all get back to the locker room after walking off that way. Did you all know that you were going to the Super Bowl at that point? Was the confidence there? Like, I don't know how we gonna get beat. Who's gonna
Well,
take care of us?
well, this is really a unique play. Let me talk about that play first of all. If the Music City Miracle play was actually we practice it every Saturday in shorts because our special team coach, I think they ran it in the '70s at Texas or something, and they ran this same play and multiple players. I even did the play. We would just have fun with it. We never thought we would use it. To be all honest, we never did. I mean, it was like a joke, really going around and like, oh man, let's just have fun. After they were like, yeah, and then the coaches bought into it, like, yeah, keep having fun and throw it back and just, so when it was called, actually, Dyson wasn't actually the guy. It was a Derek Mason first, and he had a hamstring, and then it was Dorsett, and then it got to Dyson. Anybody who was, skilled guy. But Frank Wycheck was a guy who could throw because he had thrown passes as a tight end in offense. And they having, belly back and then catch it and then throw it downfield. So he was always going to be the thrower. But while we're in the huddle and I'm standing there because I wasn't going to be in, I'm listening to Lorenzo Neal and he says, hey, man, they're going to kick it right to me because he was a fullback and he was a guy known for not having, let's say, sure hands. So my buddy there. And so he said, he said, so soon as I get it, I'm going to run and give it to Frank. And then the rest was history. Then Frank threw it. And, at the time I'm sitting on the sideline, I'm up and thinking, man, we lost this game. I can't believe it. I'm gonna be honest. I was up and thinking like, dang, where am I gonna go to vacation or something, man? Where am I gonna go? What are we gonna do? We should have beat the Bills. And then when he threw it, I was standing right there on the sideline, like, oh, I don't. Where he released the ball was right down the line. I was like, and then when he caught it, it was not. They had ran all over to the other side, and I knew he was gone once he caught the ball. But I didn't know if they were going to, overturn it or not. But I don't think the referees would have made it out of that stadium. It kind of erupted. I mean, I felt like it was an earthquake in there. And once that happened, after that game, to your question, I said personally that we're a team of destiny now. Stuff like that just doesn't happen. I mean, that game was over, and then for us to win that was pretty impressive. I was excited going into the game, to be honest, because Doug Flutie started last game and did phenomenal because Rob Johnson was hurting him. Rob Johnson had a big arm, but Rob Johnson wasn't Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie was magical. He was magical. He was special. He's that 5'8", 9" guy that he would run around being a defensive back. I didn't like that. I want the guy be in the pocket. Then I know where the ball's coming out. So that played into our favor when they did that because we were a blitz happy defense and a ball control offense, and they had a really good defense too that season. Uh, so yeah, that we almost ran out of time. That was pure luck. I mean, man, that was so exciting, man. I got pictures all around. We were just talking about what was the biggest play outside of that play, and Mid-City Miracle in Titans history. And there's been some phenomenal ones, but that was still always gonna be number one. That's gonna be one top 5 in NFL history. Yeah. So we did think we were a team of destiny. After that, the confidence level went up. Then we beat the Colts in Indy. So I was at home. So that was incredible. That was even for me personally. That was even bigger than the Mid-City Miracle. And it was against Peyton Manning, who was from Tennessee. We played at Tennessee.
Right.
Yeah. And I'd won state on that high school field in high school when we played the Colts. And so a really special story. He's passed away now, but naturally, I told you I went to Cathedral, private Catholic school. Father Kelly was their, pastor for their team. And so I saw him when I was running around warming up, and we hugged because we were really close. And he was, it's like, man, who would have thought, I give you a little insight. My nickname was Woody, and that's really what everybody called me that knew me or grew up around me, even in high school and even in college. Till I got to the pros, everybody called me Blaine Bishop because that was my name. And he said, who would have thought Woody would have made it to the NFL? I said, and we just laughed. And then I looked at him and said, not even Woody. I went third person on him. And we just bust out laughing. I took off. So I felt like I was at home because playing on that field one year, it was our home field. So we played there all the time. And so, Jeff Fisher said that was probably my best game of my career, playing in that game versus Peyton Manning. And he was still young at that time.
Well, Blaine, it's funny you bring up Peyton Manning because that was going to lead into my next question. How difficult was it as a defense to game plan for some of those early 2000s Colts offenses led by him?
Oh man, gosh, they had Reggie Wayne and Harrison and Dilger and then Edge. I mean, man, it was tough. They had Marcus Pollard was a really athletic tight end at that time, former basketball player. So they were really good. We don't want to talk about their offensive line. So it was tough. It was tough. One thing I learned in that game is he had his keys of what he would look at. And in that game, I saw him always looking at my feet, Peyton Manning. That was kind of a tip in the first quarter. I said, man, this guy's always good. So he was always watching me to determine what we were actually doing. And I was the kind of the centerpiece of the defense, because it was that 46 defense that Buddy Ryan ran. And we still run a lot of different things with it, with Greg Williams. And he just kind of tweaked it all around the place. But so I started doing everything opposite of what I had done previously throughout this season. So if I was coming up on a blitz, I would always creep up and have my upper body down and start leaning in and just creep up as I was going to blitz. Well, he was seeing that and he was checking away every time. So then I started saying, I'm gonna just line up on the line, because when I line up on the line, I would blitz too. Well, this time now I'm line up on the line on the blitz. I'll have deep middle, and then he would check the play to the other side. So it didn't work all the time, but once I figured out what he was doing, then it kind of worked in our favor more often than not. So yeah, it was we matched up well with them and the Jaguars, who had really good receivers and running backs, Fred Taylor. So we had 2 man-to-man corner, and we had nickel, and myself was covering tight ends and slot guys. So it worked out well. Yeah, the team was built to compete against those type of teams.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So Blaine, I talked at the top about you being, a 4-time Pro Bowler. I just wanted to ask, back when you played, getting selected to the Pro Bowl was a big time honor and, a mark of respect from your peers, your coaches. I was just going to ask, what's it like to suit up for that game and share the field with so many of the league's top stars? I mean, you were out there with Bruce Smith, Junior Seau, Steve Atwater, Rod Woodson. You had Brett Favre and Barry Sanders on the other side of the field. I mean, you got some legends out there, man.
Yeah, well, it was pretty cool, because I could say I caught the last, my first 2 seasons, really my first season, but my first 2 seasons, I caught the last of the guys I looked up to and saw play in their prime. And so that I had to get used to that once I got on the football field as a starter. And then once I felt like I belonged as a starter, because that didn't happen to halfway through my rookie year through injuries, by the way. And so the time passed on, I felt more and more comfortable, and then to get a chance to play with them and say, "Damn, I'm part of this club," man, it was super special. The first time the coaches told me that I had made the Pro Bowl on practice field, I could not believe it. I was overjoyed and just I really couldn't believe it. There was never a time that my goal was to be a Pro Bowler. Maybe I just underestimated what I was going to be, but it was never. My goal was always be the best player that God gifted me to be. And I was going to put in the work, and I was going to be the best version of me. And that's all I could do. And guess what? I could live with that. And the reason why I always thought that way is because I kept saying that to myself during training camp my rookie year. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'll make the team. And then finally my mom told me, I'm calling. I said, this is the hardest thing I ever have done. This and I had never said that. I don't back away from anybody and anything. And she's like, well, guess what? Nobody expects you to make it anyway. So then she says, so who cares? Give it all you got, and guess what? You'll have no regrets. And once that happened, that kind of unleashed me and helped me just play freely. I always talk about playing free, and that's what I did, because after that it seemed natural to me again, like college, which is hard to do, but I don't understand why some guys can't adjust to the speed of the game, but eventually it happened for me about 4 games in to being a starter. But when I first started, those guys was running by me. I couldn't have told you jersey numbers or anything. So yeah, the game finally slowed down for me, like it was college. Then that's when I knew I was gonna blossom. It was gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
So, Blaine, growing up in Philly, I got to see some like really, really tough and good defenses.
Yeah.
They were created and orchestrated by Jim Johnson, who
Yeah.
I just have all the most respect and love for. What was it like to be in a room with guys like Jim Johnson and Brian Dawkins and Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas and all those guys?
Yeah, man, that was really unique because I had other opportunities to go other places, and I really wanted to get a ring. That next year, I'm gonna say this first, 2000 team, and our defense was number one right there with the Ravens, but nobody ever talks about us because the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Well, the Ravens beat us. We held their offense to 120 yards in total offense, and we lost. They blocked 2 kicks for a touchdown and intercepted a pass for a touchdown. And we lost. I mean, so that was the best defense I was on. That was the best team I was on, not the Super Bowl team. That team was the best team. And just got to have the right place, right time. So then, hence, when my career ended there with the Titans and I was injured, I went to the Eagles specifically because they had an already built team, and they were right there biting at the bit, to be on Super Bowl. And they already had great pieces. So my role was going to be different than what it was with the Titans. And that's where I was at the end of my career. My body started breaking down on me. So I felt like I could go to this team. I could be a piece, a veteran piece, and fit in with Dawkins, Troy Benson, Bobby Taylor, guys. I knew them. I played, Troy, Wisconsin. Bobby Taylor was at Notre Dame. I mean, so I knew these guys. And Hugh went to Central State. I remember him at Central State. I went on a visit to Central State. So it was, so there was familiarity. They were bringing in LeVon Kirkland. They were bringing Antonio Freeman in. So they were bringing some guys, some veteran players, fit pieces to the puzzle that still had a little bit in the tank to help them get over the hump. Ike Reese, Simmons on the outside. So they had. Oh, by the way, Al Harris. I mean, if I get about him, we had dudes then Mike Lewis, and they drafted Sheldon Brown, and then they had Mike Lewis, who was rookie year. I probably should have took myself out the game because I tore my groin all off the bone the second play of the game against Tampa Bay, and I kept playing. My leg was black and blue after the game. I had no idea. I tore my abductus longus. I didn't even know what abductus longus was. I had no idea. So I was just running in quicksand. But yeah, that was a hell of an experience. That was a great defense. Jim Johnson was doing things I hadn't seen because I was with the same team, same scheme the whole time unorthodox stuff that would just fascinate me in games where they would just really almost like he knew what they were gonna do. So yeah, and then let alone Leslie Frazier, Spagnola. I
Yeah.
mean, I had some great. Ron Rivera was on there. I mean, they had some great coaches all across the board. Man, even offensively they were stacked over there, well, with coaches. So yeah, it was a heck of an experience. I played against Dolph even at Clemson, so yeah, and Levon. So yeah, it was because we played at Clemson at Ball State played at Clemson. So yeah, they really had some great players, man. Donovan McNabb, Westbrook, Deuce. I mean, they were stacked. Dorsey Levens, uh, yeah, the tight end Chad Lewis. Yeah, we had. I can name them like that, like it was yesterday. And then he didn't have any like big time like receivers. We had James Thrash and Todd Pinkston.
Todd Pinkston
Todd
and Freddie
Pinkston,
Mitchell.
right?
Yeah.
And then went all the way to the NFC Championship with that group. Yeah, but he had a slew of running backs and a slew of quarterbacks. He had Hasselback was on there too. What was the Peters? What was the guy's name?
Doug Peterson, AJ
Yeah,
Field.
AJ Philly. AJ Philly's the one because he left and went to the Dolphins and they
Dolphins,
realized that
yeah.
he wasn't a starter. And then yeah, they had even Ty Detmer was a backup.
And
Yeah,
Coy. Both of them, both of the
yeah,
brothers.
yeah, yeah. So we was that team was built. It was, but yeah, I hate it because they wanted me to come back and I just told Andy my body is breaking down. I said if I had to get one more surgery, I was done. So that was it. But I felt like I was trying to go in that last little run. I thought I had enough in me, but my body failed me. Yeah.
We was that close. We were that close.
Yeah, I know. And I really wanted it real bad because the Titans were playing in the AFC Championship, and I wanted to play them in the Super Bowl. I wanted to see how I would go against Eddie George.
So, what was it like playing at the vet, like as an opposing player versus coming there and being like a person where that's your place of business now?
Oh man, I caught that last year. And man, that place was a ruckus. I could not believe it as an opponent. I was baffled, like what was going on. That was, that was when they were having the horses and stuff, man. They bring the horse. I was like, what the heck is going on? I mean, the game would literally pause and players looking around, and people. I think that's when they started. You couldn't. They wouldn't the bottled water. They stopped serving bottled water because they was throwing the bottled water. I mean, man, it was great. Fans fighting, and I mean, it was crazy. And then when I became an Eagle, and then we played the Cowboys. Oh my gosh, Cowboys! All the NFC East. I mean, Cowboys, John. It didn't matter, but the Cowboys is where they was up in there fighting for real. I mean, for real. I mean, that thing had a jail cell in the bottom of it, man. So I was like, this thing, man. It reminded me of like off the charts college passionate fans. Just really rowdy, but to a whole nother level. And you don't see a lot of pro fan bases like that. I could talk about the Titans or any big fan base, but Philly tops the cake. I always used to say, "City of brotherly love." Boy, they don't show you no love when you come in their stadium. You better watch out. No, no, no. Not happening.
That's incredible because I've always wondered what it was like playing for the Eagles, especially at the vet. But Blaine, I've kind of got a bit of a two-pronged question here for you. What's the best part about having success in the NFL? And then what would you say is the most difficult part?
Oh, that's a tough one there, man. I would start with what's the most difficult. A lot of guys. I think this happens to a lot of guys. I think because of how I had to continue to prove myself along the way, and not being a high pig, not being a Division I player. I kept, always working and striving to be the best I could be individual. I think sometimes guys get in the league and they kind of relax and say, "Okay, I made it." Well, when I got to the league, I was like, "Oh, it just begun." It restarts, it reboots. I think that's the hardest part. And then just to be able to maintain and play at the level week in and week out at a high level. It's really hard because of the body, the physicality of the game, but the mental drain that the NFL can take you through. It's really tough. It just the wear and tear of what you have to really, if you want to be that guy and you turn on the tape and you happy what you see. I laid it on the line every single play that I could. And, some guys, that were a little more talented than me probably didn't have to do that. But the guys that did, that were elite, that was tough to do to compensate. If you could really duel against, you're playing against yourself. And if you can duplicate and play better, and I always strive to play a perfect game, knowing in reality you could never play a perfect game. That was never going to happen. But boy, I said, but if I sure come close, then I'll be pretty daggone freaking good. So that's kind of how I approached it. That was my mindset. I always thought I was the underdog, so I used that to my advantage, and use it, whenever to, help me get over the snide, whether it was just exhaustion or just fatigue or physicality or just, God just was really good. And I'm like, man, what can I do to defeat him? And I was always going to use my mind to beat players, because it wasn't always about who was the best athlete. Sometimes it's a plan of attack. So I'd always have a plan of attack. So against certain players who were really elite. But if you were disciplined, structured in your technique, you could always make a play. And guess what? I could always still jump. So I could play to that. What was the first part of your question there?
What is the best part about having success in the league?
Oh wow, the best part of having success. Parts of me, I was just thinking about this today on air when I was talking, but I never said it. Is that a lot of guys I think play for fame. I never played for fame. I played because I really, if you turn on the tape, I just loved football. I really did. And I think just to prove that I set a goal, one that I never thought I could achieve and just dreamed of it. And then to actually accomplish that, and then see what it was like, and then how far I could go with that, probably was the best thing I could say ever could happen. Because, man, I was that one that every birthday I said, I want to make to the NFL in my mind every day, every birthday. And it happened. And so I always felt like I was chosen. I really do, from the man upstairs, man. I just, I played with guys. I was never the best player on my team. I might have been the second best. Little leagues, I was the best, of course. But, when you start getting to high school and college, I would play with all Americans in high school. They was going to Big Ten teams and everything. So, I just felt like it was meant to be. I always felt that way. I don't know why I felt that way, but I always had confidence in it, and not a cocky way, but just I was confident in who I was, and I knew who was better than me. I knew Brian Dawkins was better than me. But guess what? On any given day, I could be better than him, but probably less times. That's the real talk. Undertaker, babe, Dog is who he is. He's the best safety. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year when he was playing with me. That he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. They screwed him. They screwed. He was scoring punt returns. He wasn't even supposed to be out there. He's like, I got it. And you can't even see through his Vader. Like, and I'm like, oh man. I said, hey coach, I don't know what he said. Just let Dog do Dog. I like, let Weapon X be X. I said, well, my job is to make sure I get everybody lined up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal. I mean, he is the real deal, and man, he will not say a cuss word. That it was insane. It was. I have to tell you this one story. Brian Dawkins. I don't remember who we were playing when we were Philly, but he hit somebody. And I'm running to the ball. I'm like, I'm running in here. I'm like, whoa, dang, what was that? And then he gets up and starts yelling. I said, oh, I'm going to get him. Because he was always telling me, hey, man, don't be cussing in the games. And I'm like, it's just a game. What are you talking about? He said, he hit somebody. And he said, Lord, please help him. I said, what the heck is going on? And looking around like, and then so I'm that dude like kind of dumb, like, hey man, we get to the sideline, I'm jumping in, we sit down on the bench, and I wait till he gets comfortable and settle down, and we drinking some Gatorade or whatever. Hey man, what was you saying out there? He said, oh, I was telling Laura play for him because I hit him so hard. He said it just like that. He went out of dark mode or Weapon X mode and went straight to that. I was like, oh, okay.
I think that was that Monday night game against the Redskins.
Oh, I don't remember. I cannot believe it. I mean, he was doing something crazy. He was flying in the air. I was like, oh my God. So I asked him one time before the game, because he was big in his faith, and we had the same agent. So it's like, hey man, and he was sprinkled like this water thing, this thing on him. He was like say that protected his body. I was like, it's hot. Nobody would ever say something to him about it, but I would because I was next to him and I was screwing with him. I was like, hey man, it took me about 3 games, up 4 games. Like, hey man, let me use that. I need to, protect myself. He's like, all right, here. He said, but it ain't gonna work for you. I was like, oh man, this dude, man. So yeah, man, he was different, man. He would go in the stalls and put on his helmet with that Vader and start banging on the thing and come out. And he's Weapon X. He's the nicest, coolest, big on his faith person you'll ever meet. But he said he had to turn into Weapon X on game day. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty unique to see that. Yeah, the Hitman had phased out.
Hey, Blaine, before we get you out of here, man, we appreciate this once again. I just wanted to hit on present day Titans. They just drafted Cam Ward, #1 overall this year. Just kind of take me through some of the buzz that's going on down there in Nashville here ahead of the 2025 season, and this guy getting to get his shot at the league.
Yeah, he's man. I guess I'm always going to compare him to Levis because Levis, this is what you guys know is he's a very talented. Like Cam Ward is not more talented than Will Levis. See that I'm gonna tell you, just that arm talent, athleticism. He's not a better, but he is a true pros pro and a quarterback with his mindset. And he can throw from different launch angles, which is really unique, a la Mahomes. I didn't say he was Mahomes. I said he can throw from different angles. You don't see too many quarterbacks who can do a lot of that. He gets rid of the ball quick. He's real savvy. He's very confident, true leader. And it shows when he went to 3 different schools, how he took over those schools. So that showed up a lot, and he was making all the throws. He's still going to have to go through the maturation process of being a quarterback in the National Football League. He's got one elite weapon in Ridley, but the other guys are young, still trying to prove themselves. So it'll be interesting to see how they grow up together there. Got the offensive line, hopefully at least to be average, because that was the real big issue with Levis, and I think that's when he started trying to make something out of nothing. The offensive line wasn't very good for him. So they got 2 tackles now for Cam Ward. So we'll see how well he does. But I think he's going to be the ticket. We'll see what he figures out sooner than later. And I think he's a quick learner because the last practice he had a couple picks. And that was the only time that ever happened. I think he's, and this is the time to try different things because the league is guy's going to be faster. So what he can get away with and not. But yeah, I think he's going to be the real deal. He'll be solid because of the pieces around him. Quarterback's only as good as the pieces around you. But for him, you think he's going to have like a Jaden Daniels type year would be very surprising. I don't think that'll happen, but I think he'll be a good player on a team that's probably, 6-7 win team. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I think that we would probably have them here just, ahead of the season here as well. But, Blaine, this was awesome. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. Before we let you go, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to let the fans know where they can find you, your show, and just everything that you got going on down there in Nashville.
Oh, I'm on 104.5 The Zone from 1 to 3 weekday. And then B Bishop 23 on X, and then Blaine Bishop 23 on IG. So check me out, man.
Hell yeah. Hey,
Appreciate
thanks
you
again,
guys.
man. Yeah, it was an honor to have you on. We'll definitely be rooting for the Titans just a little bit more this year after this one. But
All
that's
right.
Blaine Bishop, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Real quick, expectations. Eagles, Cowboys. You didn't tell me what's your team. I'm assuming Eagles, no?
I'm a Patriots fan.
Oh, okay. Well, that's Vrabel. So what you got expectations?
Look, I'm hoping to bounce back a little bit this year. I'm looking at, maybe 9-10 wins. The Patriots don't have too terrible of a schedule this year. So if we can bounce back, they added a couple pieces on that offense. Drake May going into year 2. I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, Vrabel's a good coach, good solid coach. What you got, Cowboys?
Blaine, it's so difficult because I get my hopes up with these guys every year and always seem to fall short. They either don't make the playoffs or they get steamrolled in the first round. But I got to tell you, I like what Schottenheimer is doing down there, especially from a culture standpoint. I'm starting to see him do things that I didn't really see from guys like Jason Garrett or Mike McCarthy in years past. I think the front office finally jumped into the deep end with the addition of Pickens. They absolutely had to put somebody next to CD. I liked what they did draft-wise. They built up the line again with Tyler Booker out of Bama. We're just going to see. We're going to see what happens. I think their win total is set at 7.5 this year. But I'll tell you what, man, those first 5 weeks aren't a walk in the park. And then I think weeks 11 through 15, they play teams that won close to 82 games last year combined. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm getting the itch again. So.
Yeah, football's right around the corner. It's July. What you got for those Eagles? Super Bowl or bust? Is that what we're talking about?
I mean, it should be. I don't see nobody in the NFC right now that's going to really compete with them. Definitely not the Cowboys. The Commanders maybe, but Deebo Samuel going to have to lose a little weight because he ain't moving like he used to.
Yeah. No, I saw him in a video doing some drills, man. He's kind of slimmed back down. Like he was doing some wide receiver route. Like, Deebo is about to be ready to be Deeboing.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm thinking Detroit. I'm wondering how their season's going to go as far as a competitor in the NFC because they lost both of their coordinators. So I wonder how that's going to go.
Good point. Yeah.
And then the Bears, I mean, they're getting Ben Johnson. So we'll see what he can do with Caleb Williams. So, I mean, it's no guarantee that the Lions will win that division. So we got to see how it goes. But I think the Eagles, they should be in good position. We got some battles going on at cornerback, but if Vic Fangio, if they fall on the line for him, they'll be fine.
Cool. Yeah. Well, sounds like all you guys are going to be better than the Titans, so we shall see.
Yeah, we shall.
We'll see, man. Yeah.
Look, the Eagles, your second home. This is. You had a great year with us. You can root for us too.
Oh no, I always want the Eagles. Well, you know what? I'm a big Andy Reid. I was so happy when he finally got it. Andy Reid was such a joy to play for, man. He's a special guy. Now just to see him now get to go on this run, and still the Eagles win too. So naturally I was cheering for the first Super Bowl. I was cheering for Andy that he got it. Now I was cheering for the Eagles the whole way. But yeah, he's a great human being, man, and that resonates with me. Just be good people in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It was good to hear.
Well, all right, Blaine, we'll let you go. We appreciate the time once again, and it meant the world to us. So thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate you guys, man. Great questions, man. Appreciate it.
Take it easy.
Thank you.